What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Talk of the Tundra, your Green Bay Packers podcast, a proud partner of the Eurostep Podcast Network and the Blue Wire family. As always, I am your host, Numak, and my trusty co-host, Jordan Chesky, is joining me once again today. Jordan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, doing well.
And special guest today as we continue our roundup of the NFC North and the offseason recap is Malcolm Hart. Malcolm, how you doing?
What's going on, man?
Malcolm, famously of the Pride podcast, Blue Wire's Detroit Lions podcast. How has
Yes, sir.
the offseason treated you?
Oh man, it's been great, man. Being a Lions fan in 2023 is amazing. Can't complain at all.
Absolutely not. That's kind of where we're going to start in a couple seconds here, but we're going to talk with Malcolm about the offseason recap, sort of how they did draft-wise, free agent-wise, some big changes coming, and sort of expectations for the season. But I guess first and foremost, what I really wanted to know is I have Lions friends who are Lions fans, and I've been asking them too. What was it like after 13? Or I can't do my math right now. 16 years of Aaron Rodgers football to end the Aaron Rodgers era with 2 wins against him to end their season and ship him off to the Jets last season.
Oh man, you talking about this last season, how they handled Green Bay, that whole Green Bay situation. It was phenomenal, man. I love the way they handled it. Um, they came out there with no expectations, especially talking about that Week 18 game. They're already out of the playoffs, and they really had nothing to play for, but they still put it together and wanted to, get that win. Just so the Packers, your division rivals don't go to the playoffs, so they stop that from happening, and they also build some type of momentum for the upcoming season.
Right. Absolutely. I don't think Dan Campbell is rolling over in that game.
No,
No, definitely not, man.
not at all. So as you mentioned, coming off a year 9-8, I believe did they go 7-2 in the last like half of the year or something like that?
Yeah, it
Maybe
was
8 and 2.
something ridiculous. It was like 6-1, something like that. It
Yeah.
was man. They really went on a roll the last 7 games.
And so you'd think conventional wisdom would be we're gonna run it back. We think we have something intact here, and I don't think I would necessarily say that as an outsider. There was a lot of activity with what the Lions did before the draft, obviously during the draft, and everything like that. So I guess of all the moves that the Lions made this offseason, were there any of them that surprised you the most in terms of just like whether it was moving on from good players that contributed to their success last year, or perhaps like guys that you thought were cornerstones for the future that they moved on? I guess in this case, it'd be like DeAndre Swift or something like that. Did anything like surprise you?
Okay, so I mean, I would say the biggest surprise for me was the David Montgomery signing. Because
Interesting.
when we signed David Montgomery, we were still on edge on who if we're gonna pay Jamal Williams. And as far as our running back room, coming into the offseason, we didn't think that we are gonna switch around our running backs because looking at Jamal Williams, he was a fan favorite, media favorite. Everybody loved Jamal Williams, and he looked like that guy that's gonna be a long-term piece for this offense. You saw what he did last year. I think he had the most touchdowns since Barry Sanders in the running back position. So we thought he was going to come back, but then you see that they signed David Montgomery, and then that gave a lot of Lions fans a question, like, okay, it doesn't look like we're going to bring back Jamal Williams. So it was like a domino effect once we signed David Montgomery. Once that happened, we did. Jamal Williams then signed with the New Orleans Saints, and then everything started to trickle down from there.
Yeah.
I think definitely spurred on by the fact that the Lions, then drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. Like,
Yes. Yeah. Then immediately after that, we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and then that left the window for Swift, and then we're like, what's going on with Swift? Now, Swift was always a question mark because
yeah,
even though that he was very talented, and he is one talented back, I still love him as a back. He just couldn't stay on the field. It got to the point that they were limiting his touches. Like they had to maybe give him like 5 to 6 touches a game instead of giving him, that 20 touches that you would want him to have, because he just kept getting banged up or nicked up or injured. So I guess they really wanted to go that bell cow route so they could have a back that
Yeah.
could take 20 carries and not worry about him getting hurt. And then you mix that in with Jahmyr Gibbs, and you're looking at an upgrade of what they had last year, which is great.
right. And so I guess springboarding from that question exactly, do you still expect the Lions to have that sort of two-headed attack in the run game with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs? Because I know I saw like in OTAs they're lining up Jahmyr Gibbs outside like the slot
Yeah,
and using him out of the backfield. I guess do you still see that sort of that dynamic that you guys had last year with Swift and Jamal Williams transferring to
yeah,
David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs?
absolutely, man. But I think they're going to be more dynamic, and what I mean by that, you're going to be able to see Jahmyr Gibbs, line up on the outside, try to get that mixed match with the linebackers and the safeties. But then you're going to see him getting carries. I think they're going to be planning on using Jahmyr Gibbs similar to Debo Samuel. So you're going to see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs on the outside. You're going to see him in catching, we're getting handoffs in the backfield, swing passes, screens. So he's going to be all over the field. So yeah, very similar to Debo Samuel's in San Francisco.
I guess when they drafted Gibbs, did you see that as sort of the mold, or were you surprised by that draft pick at 12?
Oh man, that actually hit everybody from left field because we were all not expecting. I don't think there was one mock that had us selecting Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was surprising when we saw that the Lions trade back and then now we drafted Jahmyr Gibbs. It's like, oh, what's going on? I like the pick. People are talking about the value. Oh, you should have dropped the running back that high. But the way I look at it is that you're getting a guy that's going to be able to contribute right away. There's no learning curve with Jahmyr Gibbs. He's not going to be like, oh, let's bench him for a year. I know a lot of people wanted us to go quarterback. A lot of people wanted us to go quarterback. Anthony Richardson was a guy that everybody wanted us to get. But you get a quarterback. You already have Goff. You're talking about benching him for about a year until you realize what you want to do with Jared Goff. So you get a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, he comes in right away, starts, and he instantly improves your offense.
Yeah, especially too, that's like a full picture thing where you isolate each move, but now where we are now, where you're going into the season, it's very easy to see the blueprint of what they want to do rather than be on draft night, especially like, we did like a stream of it, and you're sitting there for 5 hours, and every pick takes 15 to 20 minutes, especially early on. And you're just like, what is going on? Like the outrage is like palpable. And then you just think about like, oh yeah, they essentially just swapped out their entire running back committee and all that stuff. So yeah. I think in the moment, it felt like it was a lot of head scratching, at least from an outsider's perspective. And they traded back right before the Packers pick. So we're kind of like bracing for like, oh, they're going to take who is it that we were thinking that they're going to take? I forget.
Skaronski or JSN.
Yes.
And I was like,
that's right.
If you guys picked JSN, I was gonna be so mad. I was gonna.
Yeah, we're like,
all the Lions goodwill I had last season. Like I've been saying the Lions were gonna be good for the last year and a half now. And I was like, if they take JSN, it's out the window. I don't care.
It's over.
It's over.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, 1,300-ish yards, 1,400-ish yards at Bama last year. Obviously, like you said, threat out of the passing game. So I'm not going to say I'm scared, but I'm not exactly not scared either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm telling you, man, he's going to be a weapon, man. I'm excited.
Good.
You mentioned Jared Goff. I was going to save this question for later, but it naturally just came up. Lions took a quarterback, 3rd round, Hendon Hooker. Would have gone higher if he wasn't injured. It begs a question of, Jared Goff is kind of looked at as this placeholder, but he's also kind of been rejuvenated in Detroit with what they have with the coaching staff and everything like that. But clearly they see something in Hendon Hooker, and they're more than willing to kind of like time it out right. We in Green Bay, or as Packers fans, know how QB succession plans can go. But like, how in this moment in time before the start of the season, everything like that, and knowing I think Goff is a free agent not this year but next year,
25,
something like that.
Yeah, 2025, I believe he's a free agent.
Where do you think this could be going, and do you think it's Hendon Hooker that could be like the ascending quarterback of the future?
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, they're not putting it behind him. What they're going to do, they're going to develop him and see where he can take him. Now, the thing is, if you have Hendon Hooker and you have Jared Goff, and you're talking about 2 years from now, and if he develops into a player that he's just as good as Goff or better, now you're at that point that you're like, okay, now we don't have to pay Jared Goff, that 45, 40. I mean, who knows the number he might ask for during his, when his time to get extended, So at that point, you don't have to rush it. So you can just kind of play by ear. I mean, if Jared Goff's by all means does the impossible, I'm talking about the Detroit impossible, and brings us a championship. See, I say that as you can't even say that with a straight face, man. But
I don't know. I think we're getting closer to it than it largely has been in a long time.
Yes. So I mean, if he does the impossible and brings Detroit a championship, then you're talking about now he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. Maybe he deserves the money. Should he bring him back? You see what happens. You play by ear. But if say if we are stuck. Say we're stuck and we can't get past, the wild card or the NFC Championship, or we just can't get over the hump, and you're just looking for answers. At that point, you can say, okay, let's switch the gear here and just try the young guy, and you can move on from Goff, and you could place in Hendon Hooker, and you can see where that takes you.
Mm-hmm. I think that has been sort of the idea I've been rolling with as to how the Lions go into the future. They kind of just roll with a half season of healthy Hendon Hooker this offseason and see what he can start practicing and developing as. Let Goff take it into next year, because I don't think you're going to throw Hendon Hooker in without a year's worth of practice at least and having just an offseason of a full practice. And then you kind of just take it from that point. Hendon Hooker, definitely an athlete, definitely can throw the ball far, and if you have Jameis Williams on your team, you're going to need to throw the ball far, so that matches up quite well. And so I've been definitely intrigued as to how the Lions see their next 3-4 years with all this young talent they have and what their plan is at quarterback if it's not Jared Goff.
Yeah, they have options, and that's a good thing right now. Now they have options.
Yeah, plus it doesn't hurt to have all those Rams picks.
Yeah.
that's the other thing. And again, too, Brad Holmes, the GM, he clearly is shown to be aggressive, especially, coming out of the conversation, just talking about the running back situation, different position and different how the teams value set positions are very differently, but it still kind of shows that they have both the present in mind to compete, and then you never know what happens in the future when they want to, I guess, switch things up.
Yeah.
Dolphins. I don't know why I said Dolphins. Lions defense. Not the greatest last year. I guess first half was definitely a little more tenuous.
You're being nice.
That's right. I tried to be. I tried to be. I think it was until the first Packers game, the game that Rashawn Gary got hurt, Eric Stokes got hurt. Again, we're talking about this from a Packers perspective.
Yeah.
But the Lions limited the Packers to, I think, 9 points.
Yeah. Was not a fan.
The Lions were on pace to give up the most points in NFL history this season. It was something crazy until the streak happened.
Yeah. The defense was atrocious last year.
Yeah. Ended up allowing 427 points, third highest in the NFL. But they shorted up. They added Cam Sutton, CJ Gardner-Johnson, and Emmanuel Mosley. I guess from your perspective, is that enough to improve that defense and actually show a good bit of development on that side to make those games less boat racy and more competitive in the 17s to 28-ish points differences, as opposed to that Seahawks game where it was 48 to 45.
Yeah. And a game that I attended. I drove to. I flew out from Miami to Detroit to witness.
Hey, at least you saw an exciting scoring game.
It was very exciting. They were going back and forth. And,
right.
It was a good game. I think Detroit did a really good job in the offseason recognizing their weakness and attacking it instantly. They saw their secondary and said their secondary is atrocious. Every single person here did not do their job. It was bad. It was terrible. It got to the point that every single corner, once that ball was in the air, they just got lost. They just couldn't track the football. They couldn't swat it down. It was either a pass interference or a touchdown they're giving up. They got rid of Jeff Okudah. He was one of the biggest problems in our secondary. They got rid of him. They did a good job, and they actually restarted. So you added Cam Sutton, a guy who is very instinctive. He does attack the ball when the ball's in the air. He plays a man really well. You bring him in. They bring in also Emmanuel Mosley, who is He's still injured, but he's a guy who's expected to be that CB2 once he is healthy and back on the field. And then they bring in one of the biggest pieces in the offseason, which is CJ Gardner Johnson. And
Yeah.
he's
That
a
was a
guy.
coup.
Yeah, he looked like he's going to be the leader of this defense. I mean, it sounds like during training camp he's been that heart and soul. He's been talking the most out of everybody, getting to the offensive players' heads. He's been that guy. He's been that guy that we've been missing. That guy, that leader of defense. He's been that guy. So adding him, it's been great. And then you look at what they did in the draft by they drafted Branch from Alabama. It was going to be a nickel and he could play nickel and safety.
Mm-hmm.
But man, he's a guy who you can't keep him off the field. Like you have to play this guy. Like they drafted him with no expectation on where they didn't know where they're going to play him because their expectation wasn't play C.J. Gardner Johnson as the nickel. But now you're like, all right, we have our two safeties. We're going to play Branch, but they're going to find a way to put him out there because he had a phenomenal camp.
He's been. That's what I was kind of curious about. Is like when we did our draft pods, we're looking at Brian Branch, and when I watch like tape, it's just like he's flying over the field. Like you can say what you want about his coverage, but he tackles well and he gets to the ball carrier quite well. How do you look in the first preseason game? And I guess are you happy with that pick so far? And obviously, being a camp in a game.
I love it. I love it, man. I look at him like the ultimate football player. I think the reason why he did fall because look at his 40 time wasn't great. So I think that's the reason why he fell in the draft. But I'm talking about the ultimate football player. He seems like the ultimate football player. Like that guy just want to go out there and ball.
Yeah.
I love it.
Good. Great to hear as a guy we passed on as a team as a team that needs safety help. Great to hear.
Yeah. He you know what? And I can't believe I'm saying this, but he would have fit really good with you guys too, man.
Absolutely. I mean, I think we talked about plenty of times, but like Packer safety situation, there was a lot of need, and this wasn't necessarily the greatest draft for it in terms of like top tier talent, but like
I think he was the first one off.
Branch was he was, safety, yeah. And it just felt like it was. I mean, who knows how his career will pan out, but like. As you mentioned, ultimate football player, it might just come down to just bad testing numbers on the day of or whatever.
That's what it is.
So another thing is, as we kind of touched on before, Lions, for by and large, at least most of my life, I'm 31 years old. They've been viewed as the joke franchise. It's
tell me about it.
If it's not Detroit, it would be Cleveland. Cleveland might certainly hold the torch longer at this point now.
No.
No.
There's no. I don't think I can't see any sport team that's been more miserable than us right now. Because you look at a team, and when I just say the stuff, like it doesn't even sound real. Like you talk about a franchise that has one playoff victory in the Super Bowl era.
Yeah,
that's not great.
I don't think I could even. Was it 9? I don't think I could.
90, I believe it was 92 when they got their first Super Bowl. Shit, I can't even say that. First playoff win.
Right.
And we've been on the drop since. And then you look at that before that, you're looking at 1957.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, what sports team organization? I don't care what sport you're talking about. Has gone through that. Like at this point, we're just looking for a win. You know, we talk about the Lions fans. You're like, all right, let's just get this playoff win. Let's get this monkey off our back and just call it a day.
That's why
most Lions fans haven't seen. Most Lions fans, if you're under 30, you haven't seen the playoff win.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was doing research, and the last time they won a division or the NFC Central at the time was 1993. So we're coming up on 30 years of that.
Yeah.
So I guess with all that in mind, what does it feel like now that like they have expectations and there's things together that make them, an ascending team?
Yeah, I mean, you try to. All right, so you listen to the players, and their players are saying, we haven't done much, so we got to go out there and prove ourselves. But then you're like, all right, I think they kind of know already that they blew it from last year, and they're trending. So it's hard to get the players' perspective on are they going to handle how they going to handle the pressure? Are they going to go out there and act like the same team last year where they're the underdogs and try to surprise people? But I don't think they're going to be able to surprise people because now I think everybody's going to be like, okay, the Lions aren't the same old Lions. They're not the same joke of a team that were back in the day. Now they're for real. Now I think teams are going to take us a lot seriously than they were in the past. So it's all to the players right now. Like I want to see, especially week one. I want to see how because you play Kansas City week one. So
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about
that's
that.
tough.
So I want to see how they come out that game. I mean, are they going to play it close? Are we going to get blown out, or are they going to be able to pull an upset? So I want to see how they play that game, and that's going to tell everything going forward.
I think that's kind of like the bellwether for the Lions in general is that the Lions before their bye have a hard to sort of average schedule. Chiefs,
Yeah.
Seahawks, Falcons, Packers, Panthers, Bucks, Ravens, Raiders. The only like unbeatable teams in there are the Chiefs and like the Ravens. And I think you guys like for sure have a shot against the Ravens. The Chiefs, I don't mean to be pessimistic to you as a Lions fan, but Super Bowl reigning champs, like it's going to be hard in
Opening night.
Very hard,
opening night in Kansas
especially
City.
in Kansas City. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just a tough pull. But the point being is that you guys could go into the bye week with maybe one loss, and if everything kind of goes the right way, because the Packers game, as Packers fans, it'll be a toss up. It's in Green Bay, but Thursday night on a short week, it's you guys beat us twice last year. You just can't assume a
Yeah,
loss.
there's
to the
no
Packers
guarantees
anymore.
anymore. With when the Packers host the Lions, because that was another thing. I think it was like 25 years the Packers won every home game hosting the Lions too. So it's like
Yeah.
that. That's a long time ago.
It's a long time
that
ago.
was intact.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we're not the same old Lions no more. So, teams are going to be looking at us differently. So, yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that we could go one or have one or maybe two losses. I mean, during that going into our bye. So I think that's the reason why Vegas has us being successful this year. So, because based on our schedule and all the changes that we made and the momentum from last year. So we're gonna see where it takes us, man. I mean, I'm not gonna get too high and say, yeah, we're gonna get those games, but
Yeah,
I think all Lions fans still want to see it first before we commit our hearts and soul to it.
Oh, so you guys are seasoned in the having expectations.
yeah. So I mean, we're there. Like we think, like we believe that this could be a special year for us, but we still want to see it. You kind of see some things that you never see as a Lions fan. Like for example, we had a coach that turned down a head coaching job because he felt like this team is special.
That's right.
And he believes that he believes that let me stay with Detroit for 1 or 2 more years because he believes that this could be it. So if you're looking at that, you're like, all right, we never seen that before in Detroit. Usually guys are trying to get the hell up out of here, So he actually wants to stay because he believes something special is going on here. So when you see something like that, you're like, okay, all right, this is a little different. It's a little different. This could be it.
It's something I enjoy too. It might just be. Again, I'm not trying to be a dickhead here. It's like I don't want it to be little brother syndrome, but like I've really been wanting to see the Lions succeed. I like Dan Campbell. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like I just liked the team. Like I was a Jamal Williams fan since he was at the Packers. I loved him. Like it's hard not to love the guy. And so like I just want to see the Lions succeed because like you guys deserve it, man. Like I'm not trying to be just that guy. But it'd be fun. It'd be fun to see the Lions succeed and to see this team with Dan Campbell as the head coach succeed. Because I watched Hard Knocks last year, and watching him just light up that locker room was so much fun. So much fun. Like there's just a lot of energy around that team that I think we obviously haven't seen in a long time.
Hands down, the best coach we ever had.
Really, that's good. That's good to be, and especially with like this team. It's good to be have that coach with a team that has talent, because then everything just comes that much easier when it comes time to compete.
Yeah, I think that for me, not even just Dan Campbell. I think Brad Holmes is really going to be
a statue. They need to build a statue of that man.
It was literally he comes in, he executes the Stafford trade, which I don't think Rams fans would trade for it, like trade that experience of winning the Super Bowl. But it was like, oh, they're like, he's going for it. I mean, like, I think that's the thing with the Lions, and we touched on this with Matthew Collar when we did our Vikings episode, and he kind of mentioned it's like it's not the Lions, it's the people executing these moves and always searching for that win now. And it's like when you keep doing that, and I'm a Milwaukee Bucks fan, that it was their life for 25 years too, where it's like you search for the immediate solution, and it's rarely gonna ever like work out the way that you think it's gonna work out. So I think that for me is like you saw the vision instantly when that happened because it's like a you see it in the night. It's just like how this is gonna take time and like finally having the patience to rebuild the right way, I guess, in with an NFL team too.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Brad Holmes he's been amazing. He's been amazing. Yeah. His eye for talent is second to none, man. Like you can't like the way he execute these draft picks. Like right now, you look at the previous draft. We may have 4 or 5 guys that's going to instantly start for us.
Aiden Hutchinson scares me. He scares me as a Packers fan because that Sunday night game, the Week 18, he's loading up the Packers offensive line, which like finally like got everything together, and it was like, oh, I know how this story goes. Like he's gonna be a problem for a long time, and it just made so much sense that they took him because of
they got all the right pieces, man. So now they got to put it all together, and we got to see what happens, man. We're all excited, man. Lions fans excited. The city of Detroit's excited. I'm excited, man. Let's go.
I'm curious as to obviously it's a few years ago now, but I guess entering the Brad Holmes era and start kicking off like with that Stafford trade, what was your reaction to that? And I guess did you think it'd sort of lead to this? I'm not gonna say rapid rise in success, but pretty immediate startup success with the team afterwards. Like obviously Stafford been there for so long and was the guy. He was the Lions for the better half of a decade, probably even more. And I guess were you sentimental? Were you like, okay, like time to tank and start rebuilding? I guess like what was the feeling around that?
It was a tough pill to swallow, man. I can't even lie. I was a big Stafford fan, and I am still a Stafford fan, but I'm team first. I'm worried about my Lions first. But seeing that Stafford moved on, and especially that they go to the Super Bowl is like shit. You see Stafford go hold the Lombardi Trophy up there. You're like, that should have been us.
Wasn't it like their Lions? I swear, my memory's getting more hazy as I get older. But like,
it happens when you're over 30, man. It happens when you're I'm 36.
Wasn't there like a Detroit Rams shirt or something like?
Oh yeah. There's a lot of Lions fans that were they went both teams. Like they supported Stafford and supported the Lions, but they were really. I mean, they've been some Lions fans. You got to think about it. Some Lions fans, that's all they know. That's all they know. They grew up watching Stafford. You got these guys. These kids who are 18. Anywhere between the age of 15 to 20. That they probably only know Stafford. That's probably who they only saw. So of course, when he moves on, they're gonna follow him. So yeah, man. I mean, for them, they enjoyed it. Me, I was hurt. I felt like it felt like I'm gonna say this. All right, say like you had like that ex-girlfriend, and then she moves on, and then she gets now a new guy who's like rich and he's better. You're like, oh man, this. And you just sitting there. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. That she just moved on. Now she's traveling the world. You just sitting at home watching her travel the world and going to award shows and all this stuff. And you just sitting there like, damn, man, that's my ex-girlfriend. Here she is. That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like to me, watching Stafford win the Super Bowl.
Man. But you're playing the field now. You're trying to find a girl of your own, and soon enough you'll find
soon enough he'll be the one looking at you and be like, I want to leave what I have.
Yeah. You thought the grass is green on the other side, buddy.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for that recollection of history. I enjoyed just like knowing, because I guess we were in the same position this past year. I wanted to know if we sort of had the same sentiments. I think the situation was a little different, but I can pretty much say if the Jets go and do the thing like the Rams did,
Yeah.
it'll be the same type of feeling.
Yeah.
Yep. Same thing. You got to go through it. If I mean they're stacking up, so we'll see what happens.
I'm
Man.
really hope I don't got to go through it. 65%, baby.
Yeah,
65%.
we just gotta hit that benchmark.
Talking about the Lions prize pick last year, Jameson Williams. Obviously, with the scandal with the gambling and across multiple players this offseason, and then it happened with him. I think he's out. Is it 6 games?
6 games.
So, I guess how has that affected the team in general? I guess have you like what has like the conversation been amongst fans and things like that? But now with him pulling his hammy today and going down, I guess what are your sort of expectations for him and the fans' expectations for him once he comes back from that suspension to help make this team get to that playoff push and hopefully get into the playoffs and get a win?
It's tough, man. I think the whole situation is just tough because I'm not sure if you guys know, but he wasn't gambling on NFL teams. He got in trouble. Yes, he got in trouble gambling on March Madness, but it happened in a team facility.
Okay, NFL.
Because it happened on the team's facility.
Oh,
Because it happened. That's why he was only suspended for 6 games.
Yeah.
Now you had other players who are on our team who bet on NFL game. They're suspended for a whole year, and they got let go.
and they got cut too, right?
Yeah, they got cut. But because he didn't gamble on NFL games, and it was the NCAA, it was college basketball, March Madness,
Right.
they suspended him 6 games, which I think is stupid.
It's stupid.
I mean, if I was him, I would appeal that thing until I couldn't appeal it no more. But he's not appealing it. I think it's very dumb. But you look at the Lions fans, and the Lions fans, we have a mixed fan base. Like we have a fan base who they're looking at J-Mo and they're like, oh, he's not focused. He needs to mature. But then you have some guys who like me are like, look, he's a young guy. I mean, he's gonna be okay, you know. But he's just having a rough road right now. And I think the reason why you have that half of Lions fan base is that is a little bit harder on J-Mo is because we went through a lot. You know, we had wide receivers in the past. Charles Rogers, I'm not sure if you guys remember Charles Rogers, who we drafted way back in the day. I think it was 2002 we drafted him, 2001, 2002, some year. But we drafted him, and he was expected to be a really great receiver. But then kept getting in trouble, kept getting suspended. They're looking at him and hoping that that's not the same situation. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think it was very minor. The whole gambling thing, I think, is stupid. I think Jim's going to be okay. Now, looking at him being injured today, that's tough for him because now they're talking about holding him out the rest of these preseason games. So that's taking away his snaps. So now he's not going to be able to play football probably until week 7, you know, where they were practice again. So it's tough. This is a setback for him. So we'll see what happens, how he handles it. Hopefully he does some, off-field trading and not just, getting, making the headlines. So, you don't want to see him for these 6 weeks. You don't want to see him on the headlines because if he makes the headlines, that's not good. That's not going to be a good thing if he makes the headlines at any time now and, once he's able to return. So we're just hoping he stays clean, stays away from doing anything crazy.
Good thing March Madness is in March and we're nearing September.
And hopefully get him back and he's ready to roll, man.
That not knowing the specifics like that entire situation is the reaping and sowing tweet where it's like me reaping. Wow, this is really cool. But it's just the NFL side. The NFL has I've had this opinion for a while now since Calvin Ridley started, got suspended for that. It's like you're pushing gambling so hard as a league. And then what do you expect when you're putting facilities in stadiums? It's reaping. Oh, this is sweet. Awesome. And then me sowing. What the hell? It's like, what did you expect, Roger Goodell? You can't push it.
Exactly.
And, that's getting into a whole different part.
How beyond Williams, is there any I know they moved on from you mentioned Quintus Cephas. I think was it a safety? I think CJ Moore or something like that. Was there any other players that they had to part ways with that was kind of a bummer? Just to be the guy lost his job because I guess they were more betting on football games, so
that's worse than March Madness.
Questionable.
Yeah,
that is worse.
I mean, it was more of guys who are bubble guys who were really on the bubble making a roster. Those are the guys who got cut.
Yeah,
because they're suspended for a year. And I mean, you're already on the bubble to make it in the roster. You spend it for a year. There's no point in having a year holding up a roster
Right.
spot. So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the only guy would be Quintez Cephas. He
That
was
was
the
what I
guy
was
who I
gonna
thought
say. Yeah.
he was the guy who I thought that could come in and be one of the guys in the wide receiver room. Like I thought he could have made the 53-man roster, but
Former Badger, and he was
Yeah.
good for them as like a wide receiver three. Like I think he had a chance to really develop and have
yeah,
and win matchups when you had Jameis Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown
Hmm.
getting the top 1 and 2 cornerbacks. That really made a carved out a role for Quintez Cephas, but not anymore.
yeah. He built a chemistry with golf too, so they're on pace to be really good, but it was unfortunate.
Hmm.
That's for sure. Training camp. Who has really surprised you in training camp? Who has caught your eye, and who are you excited to see? Like, I guess we'll start with just like the stars of training camp. Who has really shined for you?
The stars of training camp. I mean, hands down, been Jameer Gibbs. Offensively, talking about offensively, been Jameer Gibbs. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, even though he got hurt today, he should be fine. But he looked like he took it to another level. He looked like he took his game to another level, which is something
Hmm.
that we wanted to see from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Because you look at Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you have him as far as like that top 10, maybe 12 range of as far as wide receivers. But I think what he from the work because this guy he works extremely hard. Like if I had to compare him to a person that works in basketball, like a person who puts their effort to their craft in their game, it have to be Kobe because Kobe's like always in the gym, before games, after games, and you see that same energy from Amon-Ra St. Brown. After practice, he's on the jugs catching balls. After before practice, he's there. He's there before everybody. He has that Mamba mentality
Yeah.
that he just wants to get better. So I could honestly see him taking that next step and getting into that maybe that top five wide receiver list. I think he's able to do it, man. He's been great for us. He had a great camp. As far as offense, so you're talking about Jameer Gibbs and then Amon-Ra St. Brown, but then you're talking about defense. I'm gonna bring a name that not a lot of people are talking about. He was I believe, our fifth round draft pick, Broderick Martin, the
Okay.
defensive tackle. He's been great. And this is a kid that he might come in and surprise some people and might steal a starting job. That's how
Really?
good he's been on the defensive line. I really like what he's been doing. All the reports been great. I had my boys go out there to training camp and he's saying, man, like he's been definitely a guy that's been standing out. So yeah, defensively, Broderick Martin, it's a normal guy after that. On defense, you got the CJ Gardner Johnson, who's been phenomenal. Brian Branch, those guys. So it's just been the normal, man. And then Jack Campbell also. Jack Campbell,
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yep.
he looks like he has all the elite traits to be an elite linebacker. Was time. So they're really liking Jack Campbell as well.
I was
Awesome.
gonna say that our next question is gonna be how is the rookie class looking at training camp? You mentioned four rookies right there. Sounds
That's
like
why
it's going pretty
yeah,
good.
that's why I told you Brad Holmes is the GOAT. I mean, if he doesn't win executive of the year, I don't know why, because he may have he guaranteed to have four impact players starting
Yeah.
from the draft class, but he may have five or six,
Wow.
which is to come out of draft and then say you have five or six of those guys starting for you. I mean, I don't know.
And I guess it's not the fact that the rest of the team last year wasn't as good. It's just that these guys are playing up to par, and
They're pro ready.
yeah,
They're pro ready.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of guys pro ready, man. That's a good thing.
good.
Yeah.
So for me, sorry, Jordan, I'm gonna ask this question because
No, that's
it
fine.
has personal beef with me. Last year, my camp darling was a safety by the name of Micah Abernathy. He was an old, I think, CFL player and pure ball hawk. I wanted him on the team. I wanted him on the Packers. Like I wanted to make the roster. And ended up cutting him, signing to the practice squad, and eventually got sniped off the practice squad like week 14 ish, late in the season,
Yeah.
by the Falcons. Cut to me, mad. I guess, who is your camp darling this year? Somebody who week to week is not going to matter, but somebody that you think is worth rostering for the sole fact that they're going to be good, whether it be next year or in years future.
All right, let me think of an unexpected person because I could give like a name of like one of our top draft picks, and because they all been great, man. But
Right.
if I were to give a guy, you know what? I'm gonna say Derek Barnes.
Tell me about Derek
Derek Barnes.
Barnes.
Derek Barnes is a guy who
Linebacker, right?
is a linebacker. Yes, he had also. I know you bring him up. He had a phenomenal camp. He was a guy who had no expectation of starting, but he might be a starting linebacker. He's pushing for a starting linebacker job this year.
Okay.
He's been a leader for Jack Campbell. He's been great. He's been playing mainly with the first team reps, but he's been a leader. He looked like he took another leap to his game. So if there was some situation where he didn't make the roster because of maybe being the outside man looking in because we were pretty deep in the middle linebacking position, that'll kind of stink.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep an eye out.
Derek, we'll watch out for Derek Barnes. I think he actually had a really good game against the Packers last year. That's why his name kind of rings a bell to me.
Derek Barnes, yeah, 55. I think he's the one that I believe caused that. Was it a no? That was a different game. I'm sorry. That was the Vikings game. I'm sorry.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
So we're moving on to expectations, and this division can be easily had by, I would say, anybody. Bears probably more far fetched, but the conversation is open for anybody to take this division. I would say, personally speaking, probably the Lions the most, if everything falls in the right place. So, can the Detroit Lions win their first division title in 30 years?
Can they do it? Absolutely. They can. Yes, they can do it. And I want to actually bring up something. I'm actually higher on the Bears than a lot of people are. I think the Bears,
Really? Why
yeah.
so?
I think they address a lot of their flaws by not having a receiving core, and they brought in some receivers.
I
DJ Moore.
love the way you phrase that. But they addressed a lot of
They
these
just didn't
by
have
not having a
receivers.
receiving core.
Yeah. So I mean, I know they still may have some offensive line problems, but now the ball's on Justin Fields. Now, is Justin Fields that guy who they think he is? I know he's getting a lot of hype for being a really great runner. Now, can he pass the ball? I mean, if he's able to do that, I mean, they might be a pretty okay team. I think defensively they're okay defensively, but now I mean, let's see what they do. I mean, I'm not totally down on them. I don't think they're like the bottom of the barrel.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
Did you see like all the hype around Justin Fields' preseason stats out of game one?
I did not. No, I didn't even look. Did he play the preseason?
He did.
He played the first.
He played a couple drives and had like 130 yards and I think a touchdown. But
he did?
The 130 yards came from one screen pass behind the line of scrimmage to DJ Moore, who then ran for 70 of them. And then 50 more of them came on a similar screen pass that went for a lot of yards. But Bears fans entirely were like, Justin Fields, man. Like, they were just like, made it seem like he was dropping dimes all over the field and just dropping them into receivers' downs. Like, no, it was almost entirely screen yards.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't mean to laugh at him, but I mean, shoot, I want to see how he do because right now he has no excuse.
Right,
can't save his receivers. I mean, he could still blame the offensive line maybe, but now he has no excuse, man. Throw the football. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. I think like that's how I am with them too. I don't want to see them succeed because of the Bears, because that's in my blood. I can't really shake that one, but I think they're in an interesting spot to where it's really time to see if Justin Fields is the guy. And like they went and got DJ Moore for him, and they brought in Claypool last year. Like they have now talent around him. There shouldn't be
4 tight ends, 2 of them were Packers.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they
and to go back to your original question, the Lions, they have a shot at the division. I really believe we do because it's wide open. No more Rodgers. I mean, even though that last year I thought we were still the better team. Just knowing he's not there just gives everybody hope.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah. How do you see the division sorting itself out then? Who would you say go rank 1 through 4 of the division?
4. Now a non-biased opinion.
Yep.
Just off the head.
Yeah.
based on the roster and schedule, I would say Lions win the division. Number two, I may have to go Vikings, then Packers, and then Bears. And
Vikings are a tough one.
the only reason why I'm going Vikings over the Packers is because I have no idea what they expect from Jordan
Jordan Love?
Jordan Love. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why.
Right.
Now
And we're in the same boat.
you guys are the same boat.
Yeah.
It could be very scary. It could be a good thing. Or it could be a bad thing because I went through the same thing when Brett Favre left the Packers. I was like, yeah, this is our chance. This is our chance.
Let's go.
Let's go. We're wide open. And then you have this guy named Aaron Rodgers that destroyed our lives for like the next 15 years. So I mean, we're just hoping it's not the same result.
Yeah.
We are. We are.
You guys are, but everybody else in the NFC North, we're hoping that's not the same result. But we'll see what happens,
Right.
man. I don't know what to look like. I have no idea what to think of Jordan Love right now.
Right. Frankly, I think every NFL team should have a back-to-back Hall of Famers, but that's just me. Like that's
Lucky.
But no, I think that's like the best thing that about the season. Jordan, I've been saying it all off season that this season is just gonna be fun. We have no expectations. If we're bad, we get a good draft pick, and if we're good, hooray, we're
There's
good.
some guys out there. There's some guys out there too.
Right. Like I'm ready for the season to start, just to really see Jordan Love play. We saw him play for 2 drives against the Bengals last Friday, and we'll see him again this Friday against the Patriots. But then I would doubt we'd see him in the third preseason game. But then it's week 1 against the Bears, and Malcolm, I hope I have your cheers from Miami that if Jordan Love waltzes into Soldier Field and beats the Bears.
Yeah, we'll see, man. That's gonna be a good game.
Some sad Bears fans is a good thing by me.
Oh yeah.
One last question for you, just looking back at the rivalry between the Lions and the Packers. What is your favorite Packers Lions moment throughout your fandom?
My favorite moment. I mean, we don't have many. We don't have many. So I mean, I would have to go to last year, man.
All right.
Last year. That's our favorite moment, man. Is setting Aaron Rodgers into an early offseason.
Same with Quay Walker.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was yeah. He was him walking to the locker room. Yeah, he was pretty upset. But yeah, man. That had to be my favorite moment because it was kind of current, and we don't have much moments against Packers. We don't have many.
Right, and I guess
usually nightmares. Usually bad things.
Usually nightmares.
Usually bad things.
I'm
not even gonna tell you about 2015. 2015, I broke some remotes that year. I broke some TV remotes that year. Yeah. Y'all know what game that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I broke the TV remote. I had to call Xfinity. He said, "Yo, I need another remote."
Why, sir?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers threw a Hail Mary.
I said I witnessed a Hail Mary, and I threw my Xfinity remote through the wall.
I remember watching that game. My college friends in our first college house. That's memory.
Yeah,
but
not for me.
Not for you. It's a nightmare. Hey, listen.
Other nightmare.
There's 2 sides of it, right? There's your nightmares of the Hail Mary against the Lions. Then there's my nightmares of Packers against the Seahawks in 2014. Like I have only once cried about sports, and that was it. Like. So
yeah.
Jordan, you got anything else for Malcolm?
No. I think that's everything.
Malcolm, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. I am one of the three hosts that we have for the Pride podcast. It's a Detroit Lions podcast with me. I also have my guy Tyler and Pierre. We just break down games and have fun. It'll be really good for you guys to check us out, especially that Thursday night game when we play you guys. You can get our perspective, and you can get your guys' perspective, and hopefully we can have you guys on our show and chop it up and talk about the upcoming game, man. But yeah, man, the Pride podcast, it's a Detroit Lions podcast, and you can catch me there. We're on Spotify, Apple, anywhere you listen to the pod.
Awesome. Appreciate it. We'll have to plan that. That'll be exciting. It'll be
Yeah.
one of the early Thursday night games. I think it's early in the season, so it'll be
It's
good.
week 3 or week 4?
Week 4, yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know it's I know it's the 28th of September because
Yep.
again, all my
Again,
guys
you're going up there.
We're
Oh,
planning.
yeah, that's right, yeah.
We might be going up. I know they are. So
Right.
I might be going to Green Bay. I think that'll be an awesome experience. I've never been to what's it called? Soldiers.
Lambeau Field.
Lambeau. I'm thinking of Chicago. You're talking about Chicago so long. I'm thinking about Soldier Field, Lambeau Field. Yeah, I haven't been there, so yeah, I think it'll be a hell of an experience, man.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's really fun. Like if you do go, definitely make a weekend of it. Do the like the Hall of Fame and just see the stadium itself, because on game day it's obviously so packed. It'll still be a little busy because it's a game day weekend and people are also doing all of that. But as a Green Bay native, its shine has worn off for me because I've been to so many. But I encourage all football fans to get there at least once. It is the Mecca. So
Nice.
awesome. So go find Malcolm at Mr. Hart __ on Twitter over there, and follow the Pride Podcast on Twitter as well at Pride Podcast. You can get all things Eurostep Podcast Network at gspn.info, where you can check out Eurostep Cruising for a Bruising with the Brewers making their playoff push in baseball, and make time for this, our sort of junk drawer pod. So with that being said, Malcolm, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey man, no problem. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Awesome. Jordan, thank you.
Thank you.